Hello everyone, it's me SkingloNafro and I'm back to do another YouTube video. So today's topic, I wanted to talk about black women in the industry. I shall be focusing on a singer called Misha B. She was featured on X Factor back in 2011, I believe it was. And she's basically came out last month speaking about her the racism that she experienced while she was on the show. And also Alexandra Burke also spoke about the racism she's experienced while on X Factor and also when she was signed as a recording artist. So I wanted to cover these topics and, you know, show the videos of them talking about their experiences, you know, here and there, and also interjecting my own thoughts on what I think. So, as I said, Misha B is a singer. She was featured on X Factor in 2011 and she came out last month speaking about the racism that she experienced while she was a contestant on that show. And there was also a point in time where the judges of X Factor, well, two judges in particular, Lewis Walsh and Talisa, who used to be in this British group called N-Dubs. Now, you know what the funny thing is? Because I'm like 32 now, I look back on when I was a teenager and I used to love N-Dubs and I think to myself, what the fuck was I thinking about? Like, honestly, what was I thinking about? But yeah, she used to be in this group called N-Dubs. And I did enjoy that group when I was a teenager, but now things changed. Basically, they accused her of being a bully. They did this live on stage, accused her of being a bully. Louis and Talisa did this. They also said to her that she needs to stop being so overconfident, which is peculiar to me, because would you not want the contestants to be confident? Basically, what I am hearing when I saw the video is that they do not want black women to, you know, they do not want black women to assert themselves. They do not want black women to show confidence because we need to stay in our place. And I'm like, that's not going to be happening for much longer. It's not.
Confident. You're a very confident performer. I hope you're not too overconfident.
Hello? Misha, there's no doubt about it. When it comes to talent, you are way up there. Most people, they come into the competition and they need to be built up and they need to progress, but you came as a whole package and you are definitely a star of the show. But I do have one negative this week. I think, Misha, that you're very competitive and I've seen a different side of you backstage, and I think you don't realise that you do it, but in some ways, you being so feisty can come across quite mean to certain contestants. And I've been told by a few contestants this week that there's been a few mean comments towards them. And I'm not putting you down, I'm saying take that feistiness and that energy and bring it on the stage. When you get off stage, leave the war behind. That's all I'm saying, because I think you're going to be amazing. Just put aside the attitude.
Okay. First and foremost, I'm here to judge what I see tonight. I don't care what goes on backstage, I really don't. And we shouldn't be getting involved in that. We really shouldn't be. I mentioned earlier we're looking for an artist, someone to sell albums. There she is, right there. Amazing vocals, great vision. Well done, Misha.
You know what? We leave things backstage, but you brought it on stage, and you brought it clean and clear and on fire tonight. Very proud of you. Continue to work hard and confident. You're supposed to be confident when you go on stage. But
sometimes it's a competition. Sometimes people vibe other people out of it.
Well, guess what? I think that some of your categories should actually get some confidence.
Hey, one of my contestants has complained to me about Misha bullying her backstage.
No, we're not going to go to that.
Surely we should be judging this girl on how good her voice is. That's the most important.
I agree, but at the end end of the day, it is about a package, like I said, and it is about
it's
character.
about what you bring on stage.
And when it's affecting other contestants,
yes, it
I'm sorry, I'm going to say something, especially when it's my turn.
Jessie said that, well, you've been saying that Leanne has evil eyes, and and you don't think we're going to win, and we're shit singers. I was like, wow. I said, first of all, let me just get this very, very clear. I have no energy to be focusing on anybody else when I have so much at stake here. It is not in my character to want to tear another sister down. Never been in my character to want to do that, or to do that, point blank, period. Anyway, so from there, one of them started crying, and then I said, well, there's a few things that people have come to me and told me that you girls have said about me. I said, but I'm not running and making a big hoo-ha about it. I'm outnumbered here, you know. The exec producer escorted the girls out. I'm walking through the corridor, the X Factor corridor, and I see Talisa talking with the exec producer, and I'm just receiving like a real coldness from everyone. Like, no one's looking in my eyes.
Now, I believe Misha B, one of the times she was on the show in 2011, was like 17, 18 years old. Imagine hearing that as a teenager, that you're being overconfident and you was being a bully. Even though it actually turns out it was the producers who were the ones who were whispering into the ears of the other contestants to make it seem like Misha B was the one who was being a bully, you know, to make it seem like they were the victims and that she was completely in the wrong. And we've all heard this basically before about black women who have been portrayed as, you know, as the aggressor. And I have to admit, it's more than a microaggression. It's far more than that. It is direct racism. And the way they treated her was absolutely vile. Like, if you have an egregious with someone, then you can take that you know, backstage. You don't need to be lambasting someone in front of the whole world, because back then in 2011 there were still millions and millions of people who were watching X Factor, so they all saw that. And you know, the thing is, these things may not be subtle to us black people, but they may be subtle to white people. You know, the whole thing about unconscious bias. They start seeing that, and then they start thinking, this is what I thought about that black girl anyway, so this is what I'm talking about, unconscious bias. And they did not even consider that she was essentially a child. She was not an adult. Like, what on earth was you thinking to do that? Because, you know, black people are not allowed the grace to, you know, be their age. We always have to be treated as if we are older. However, in saying that, I personally would not even be saying that kind of foolishness to a grown adult woman. Now, Little Mix is a group that is a girl group that was also on X Factor the same time as Misha B. They won that season, and basically the producers were, you know, whispering to Little Mix, and they weren't called Little Mix at the time. I actually don't remember what they were called back then, but sorry. Basically they were, you know, the producers were in their ears, and all this kind of, the producers were in their ears basically saying that, oh, Misha B has been saying this about you and blah 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 and all this kind of stuff. And so, you know, their perception of Misha B changed because they believed what they were being told. And you know what's funny is Gary Barlow, who was one of the judges at the time, he was in the group Take That. He actually came out when he released his autobiography a few years ago and actually admitted that it was the producers who was, like, just before they were to go on the show, the producers would say to them, would say to him and the rest of the judges, oh, say that Misha B is a bully, say that Misha B is a bully. And Gary Barlow's own producer, because he had his own producer, said, you're not going to be saying that. And it was only Kelly Rowland, who was also one of the judges on X at the time. I believe she left after that season. and Gary Barlow were the only 2 judges out of the 4 who defended her on stage. Because Kelly Rowland is also a black woman, and she's also dealt with a lot of microaggression in her life and, you know, direct racism. And she wasn't here for it. She was not here for it. She knew what was going on, and it was just really disgraceful to see it anyway. And like even Gary Barlow, he said, you know what? I don't care what goes. I don't care what goes on backstage. All I care about is what goes on the stage. And this is what we need to be focusing on about. And this is what I said earlier in this video. Why are they focusing on shit? If it was true, why you focus on it when, you know, millions of people are watching that shit? Nobody knows what was going on backstage. They only knew after you decided to attack Misha B. They only knew then. They only knew after then. So it was completely inappropriate. It was so unprofessional. And then, you know, like I said, Misha B did her video last month. I watched the whole Instagram live video, and it was so sad. She was crying. And, you know, it's actually really, really, everybody who was in those comments was so supportive. Like, nobody was attacking her or anything like that. And then I believe it was a week or so after that video was done, Talisa did her own Instagram live where she basically said that none of the stuff that Misha B said was true. She basically said that she's not racist because she's got racist friends. You know what white people are like. You know, I ain't racist. I got a black goldfish. You know, that kind of bullshit that they come up with. And it just really, really disappointed me because everybody saw that video. Everybody know what you were trying to imply. You called her a bully, and you know that kind of coded language is very much used a lot towards black people, black women especially. They are referred to as aggressive a lot, particularly the darker your skin tone. And Misha B is an absolutely beautiful dark-skinned black woman, but you know that dark-skinned black women typically tend to deal with colorism more, just because for some strange reason that colorism, the darker your skin tone, the more masculine you are perceived. I should go into that a bit further. You know, this whole idea of masculinity and the darker your skin tone is. I shall go into that a bit more, but that's a separate video. Now, moving on from that slightly, I wanted to talk about Alexandra Burke. Alexandra Burke was also featured on X Factor. She was featured on X Factor in 2009. She actually won the X Factor, but her story actually started a little bit before. I believe she first auditioned for X Factor when she was 16 years old, and she didn't go through that time. But Simon Cowell, I figured out who she was talking about. Simon Cowell basically said to her, give me a call in a couple of months and I'm going to sign you to my record label. But when she actually gave him the phone call, when she actually called him up, he said to her, oh, well, I already have a black person on my record label. I don't need another one.
This person in particular said to me, you know, you haven't made it through, but give me a call in a couple of months and, you know, I'll sign you. I will take you on as an artist. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. At 16 years old, it's the break that I've been waiting for. I remember calling this particular person and saying to him, look, I'm in a position where I'm ready to start working and I'm eager, I'm good to go. And the reply and the response that I got was, I already have one black artist. I don't need another. I wasn't sure how to take that, to be honest. I still kind of have to really take that in, even now, however many years later, think to myself, wow, that was really something that was said. And, you know, and it sucked. It really, really sucked to hear those words because of your skin color. You now can't.
And when I heard that, I was in shock because I was thinking to myself, are you kidding me? Like, to imagine she's a teenager, a child, hearing those kind of things, that, oh, even though I promised you that you could sign to my record label Psycho, actually that's not the case, because I've already got a black person on my record label. I don't need you. Basically, that's what they were saying. One black person is enough. And it just really, really bothered me to hear that. And, you know, she went through X Factor, and, you know, she dealt with racism during that time as well. When she went back to X Factor, she dealt with racism, I believe, when she was 19. So she was also a teenager, just like Misha B was. And the fact that black teenagers were treated like that in the show, like if it was white teenagers who were treated like that in the show, you know, people would be gunning for X Factor's heads. But because they were black teenagers, they were not allowed to be seen as they were, as victims of racism. You know, they were having racisms and microaggression thrown at them constantly, and nobody was doing anything. When when Alexandra Burke got signed to Psycho after she won, basically what happened was she got told not to do baby hairs. You know, black women tend to do baby hairs a lot. She got told not to do baby hairs because they were too aggressive. She also got told to bleach her skin. She's also darker skinned, a darker skinned black woman. So for her to be told to, you know, bleach her skin because that would look more palatable to the masses is really ridiculous. Stone cold racism. Being told when you're very, very young to bleach your skin is just And she was also on Dancing with the Stars. I believe it's called Dancing with the Stars or something like that. And when she was on there, her mum passed away, and basically she was really emotionally distraught and everything. And you know, the thing is, with living here in Britain, it's very difficult because people assume because you're sad that actually it means that you're disinterested, that you're, you know, aggressive, as I said this before. But she just lost her mother, and she wasn't even given a consideration, you know, that her mother had passed. Now she did point out that it was one media person, you know, one paparazzi in particular who did this, and, you know, honed in on her after she just lost her mother while she was on this show, and it was absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to round this video up because I don't want to talk about it for too long, but I will say X Factor has basically, you know, had its time. It's had its time. It was good for what it was, but honestly, the fact that several people have come out now and spoke about the racism they've experienced on this show, it just begs the question, like, what is the purpose in this show if there's so much racism? And Simon Cowell always pretends, you know, when he sits there on that show, always pretends as if he is so impressed with the black talent that's showcased. And the truth of the matter is, he really does not. You know, and it just bothers me because he dated a black woman for years. And then he dated a mixed race woman for years. So it's just kind of like, are you delusional? Like, seriously. And I'm just like, you would not sign a black woman to your record label because a black teenager at the time, to your record label because you said you already had black people on your record label. But, like, come on, Simon. Like, seriously. But yet you have no problem dating black women. But they're not good enough to be signed to your record label. And you see how racism works. We're good enough to be found attractive to them. Oh, to be realistic, it's more like a fetish. But we're not good enough for them to, you know, give us our props when we actually deserve it. And I've actually noticed this a lot about black women in the industry. They're having to literally run to America just to get recognition. Now, that's not to say that America is not racist. That's not what I'm getting across at all. It's just these black artists have more chance of becoming successful in America than they do here in Britain. And so when people tell me that Britain is not racist, I get very frustrated inside, because there is so much evidence of Britain being racist. And I'm like, how much more evidence do you require so that you will actually understand what we keep telling you? Okay? Black women have come out and said their experiences of X Factor, the racism they dealt with within the British music industry, and you're still questioning whether Britain is racist. Please wake up. So I want to say to Alexandra Burke and to Misha B, you have my full support, both of you do. And I don't remember his name, and I don't really want to remember his name, but that black man who said he was on the X Factor at the same time as Misha B, who basically said he came out and said that she was lying because he never saw her experience any racism. Go suck your mother. You understand? Go suck her good. Okay? Because there was absolutely no reason for you to open your mouth other than to give a black woman support. But you chose to do the opposite. You chose to support Talisa, that little racist cow, and then she's there in your comments talking about, oh, I feel to cry. Girl, suck up those tears, because we all know the crocodile tears, please. So, please let me know your thoughts down below on this whole situation. I shall be back in a few minutes for another YouTube video. Okay, bye.